Okay, class. Now we want to continue with the fifth subtopic in this chapter, which is the chain rule. Previously, and the fourth subtopic, which is the directional derivative, we learned on how to use the partial derivative to find the rate of change or the derivative of a function with two or more variables, okay, that have the direction. Okay, we find the directional derivative, so we use the partial derivative. So now we want to use the chain rule in order for us to find the partial derivative or the derivative or the function that have a several variable with one independent parameter. Okay, so let's say the first one, when we want to find the chain, we want to use the chain rule untuk function of several variable with one independent parameter. So let's say we have a function of z in term of x and y. So we have a function of z in term of x and y. Okay, but the function of but the x and y is actually the function in term of t. Okay, we have a function of z in term of x and x and y is another function in term of t. Okay, with z, x and y are differentiable function, which is the function that can be differentiated. Then z is equal to f GTHT adalah composite function of a parameter t, di mana we can find the derivative of z with respect to t by using the chain rule formula. So this one is the chain rule formula. To find dz dt is equal to dz dx multiplied by dx dt plus dz dy multiplied by dy dt. That's one is the formula of the chain rule for a function of several variables that have one independent parameter. So let's see what is that means. Okay, so actually we have a function of z like usual. We have a function of z. Okay, our function of z is in term of x and y. Okay, for example, we have z equal to 4xy plus 3y square x, for example. So this one is the function of z in term of x and y. But our x and y is actually another function in term of t. Okay, given to you a function x is equal to 4t cubed, for example. A function y is equal to t. So your x and y now is not only a single x and y, but it is a function of t. Okay, so this t is called as the independent variable. The last one, the t is called as the independent variable, whereas the x and y here is called as intermediate variable. So whenever we want to find the derivative of z, we are not finding the derivative of z in terms of x and y, but we are finding the derivative of z in terms of its independent variable, which is t. So we want to find dz dt. Okay, but we cannot directly get dz dt from the equation because z is in terms of x and y. We only can find the derivative with respect to t when we differentiate x and x and y, because only x and y is in the term of t. So for us to get dz dt, we need to use what we call as a chain rule formula. So we want to find dz dt because z is dependent variable and t is the independent variable. Okay, but you cannot get directly from the function of z. From function of z, you can only get either dz dx, you can differentiate z in term of x, or you can also differentiate z in term of y. You only can get this one. Okay, and from x, you can get dx dt because x is in term of t, you can differentiate x with respect to t. So you can get the dx dt from x, and from y, you can get dy dt. So if dz dx we multiply by dx dt, okay, this one will give you dz dt because this one can be cancelled out. Okay, and we plus with dz dy multiplied by dy dt because this one also will give you dz dt because this one can be cancelled out. So this will give you what we want, which is dz with respect to t. Okay, and this one is called as a chain rule formula. For us to find dz dt, we need to use the chain formula, chain rule, which is dz dx darab dx dt plus with dz dy darab dengan dy dt. Let's see example here. Okay, given a function of z equal to x squared plus 3y squared plus 7. So if you see the function of z here is only can be differentiated with respect to either x or y by using a partial derivative. And given to you, the x is in term of t, which is 2 cos t, and y is in term of t also, which is sin t. Okay, so from here, we can get dx dt. This one, kita boleh dapat dy dt. From here, kita boleh dapat either dz dx or we can also get dz dy. Okay, so now question asks us to find dz dt. So from z, we only can get dz dx and dz dy. We cannot get dz dt. So we know now we need to use the chain rule formula. Okay, so what you need to do first is you need to differentiate everything. Okay, so differentiate z, you can get dz dx. Okay, differentiate z with respect to x, you will get dz dx, which is 2x. And then differentiate z with respect to y, you will get dz dy. So dz dy, let x is equal to constant, so you will get 6y. Okay, and then from x, you differentiate, you will get dx dt. Okay, differentiate x, you will get dx dt because this one is in term of t. Differentiate cos will be negative sign, so negative 2 sin t. And differentiate y also will give you dy dt, differentiate of y with respect to t. Okay, so differentiate sin t will give you cos t. So after that, what you want to find? You want to find dz dt. So what you have here is dz dx, you can multiply it by dx dt, so you will get dz dt. You plus with another one that you have, which is dz dy multiplied by dy dt. So what is your dz dx? You already find it, which is 2x. Okay, multiply by your dx dt. So this one is your dx dt, negative 2 sin t, plus with dz dy, which is 6y, dy dt is cos t. Okay, so now you already have negative 4x sin t plus 6y cos t. So this one is your dz dt that you want to find. But question asks you to find dz dt when t is equal to pi over 3. So you need to substitute your t equal to pi over 3. So class, if you see here, you want to substitute t equal to pi over 3, but you have t, you also have y and x. So you need to find the value of x and y. How to find the value of x and y? You are given here the function of x and the function of y. So x is equal to 2 cos t. You want to find when t is equal to pi over 3. So substitute t equal to pi over 3, you will get x is equal to 2 cos pi over 3 is 60. Okay, so 2 cos 60 will give you 1 over 2. Okay, so x is equal to 2 multiplied by 1 over 2 will give you 1. So x is equal to 1. Now you have your t equal to pi over 3. Your x is equal to 1. You need to find what is your y. So y is given by a function sin t. So at t equal to 30, your y is equal to sec 3 over 2. So your y is equal to sec 3 over 2. So when the question asks you to find when t is equal to pi over 3, you just need to substitute all the value here. Okay, your x is 1, your t is pi over 3, plus your y is sec 3 over 2, cos your t is pi over 3. Okay, so you can calculate, you will get the answer is equal to negative sec 3 over 2. Okay, so this one is by using the partial derivative, but it involves the chain rule formula. So let's see the second example here. Given to you the function z equal to 3xy to the power of 4 minus with 4x square y. Okay, x is given to be sine 3t, y is equal to cos t. Okay, so if you can see here, question asks you to find dz dt, but from z you can only find dz dx and also dz dy. You cannot find dz dt, okay, because the function of z here is in term of x and y. So from x you can get dx dt, and from y you can get dy dt. So we know that to find dz dt we can use the chain rule formula. So first let's find all the derivative first. So the first derivative is dz dx, differentiate z with respect to x. Okay, so this one will give you 3y to the power of 4 minus 8xy. Okay, and then you find dz dy. This one will give you 12xy to the power of 3 minus with 4x squared. Okay, differentiate with respect to y. Okay, and then differentiate x with respect to t will give you dx dt. Okay, so differentiate sine will give you 3 cos 3t. Okay, and then differentiate y with respect to t will give you dy dt. So you will have negative sine t. So now what is the formula to find dz dt? Dz over dt is equal to dz dx multiplied by dx dt plus with dz dy multiplied by dy dt. Okay, so your dz dx, you already have your dz dx is 3y to the power of 4 minus 8xy. Dx dt is 3 cos 3t plus with dz dy. So this one is dz dy, 12xy cubed minus 4x square. Dy dt is negative sine t. So this one is your dz dt by using the chain rule formula. So question asks you to find when t is equal to 0. So when t is equal to 0, what is your x, what is your y? Find x and y first. So x is sine 3t. When t equal to 0, so x is equal to sine 0. Okay, so sine 0 is equal to 0. Okay, y equal to cos t. When t equal to 0, y equal to cos 0. So y is equal to 1. Okay, so now you have x 0, y 1, t equal to 0. You just need to substitute. So you will get 3 1 to the power of 4 minus 8 multiplied by 0 multiplied by 1. 3 cos t is 0, so 3 cos 0 plus 12. X is 0, y is 1 to the power of 3 minus 4, 0 to the power of 2, negative sine 0. Okay, class, this one is all 0. Okay, so this one is 3 minus 0 is 3. 3 multiplied by 3 is equal to 9. So you get your value of dz dt is equal to 9 by using the chain rule. Okay, so let's see this example. This one is related rate problem. Is related to the rate problem. Okay, rate of change. Okay, a box is changing in such a way that its length L is increasing at the rate of 3 centimeter per second. Its width is increasing at the rate of 5 centimeter per second, and its height is decreasing, okay, at the rate of 5 centimeter per second. At what rate is the volume of the box changing when the length is 10 centimeter, the width is 12 centimeter, and the height is 7 centimeter? First, you need to know what is the geometry, the shape of the the shape of the container or whatsoever that you deal with. Now you are dealing with box. Okay, so when you are dealing with box, it might have a height, width, and also the length. Okay, and the volume. Question asks you, what rate is the volume of the box changing? So when we are talking about the rate of change, it will be always with respect to T. Now we want to find what is the rate of volume changing, perubahan isi padu. So it will be the rate dV/dt, perubahan volume kepada masa. Okay, so ini yang kita nak cari. Sekarang kita bekerja dengan box, di mana formula volume untuk box adalah width darab dengan length darab dengan height. Okay, so we have an equation V in term of W, L and H. So from this we can get dV dW, we can get dV dL, and we also can get dV dH. Okay, question give you L is increasing at the rate of 3 cm per second. L adalah length. Dia kata length bertambah pada kadar 3 cm per second. So you see per second means per masa. So ini adalah perubahan length kepada masa, which will give you dL dt. Perubahan length kepada masa iaitu 3. And then dia kata width pula increasing at the rate of 5 cm. Width pula perubahan dia pada masa adalah 5 cm. And height is decreasing. Ketinggian pula height pada masa dia decrease negative at the rate of 5 cm. So you get all the formula, all the value here. Now you want to find dV dt. Okay, class, let's find first what is our dVW. dVW, okay, you need to differentiate your V in term of W. So this one is a constant, you will get LH. dV/dL, okay, kita nak differentiate V with respect to L, so only tengok L, W and H adalah constant, so we have WH. dV/dH, so kita nak differentiate with respect to H, so this one will be a constant, so we have WL. Okay, now kita nak cari dV/dt by using the chain rule formula. dV/dt adalah dVW darab dengan W dt. Kenapa? Sebab kita boleh potong ini dan ini menghasilkan dV dt yang kita nak. Tak cukup satu sebab dia ada 3 elemen, plus dengan dV dL darab dengan dL dt. Sama kita boleh potong ni dengan ni, so tinggal yang kita nak dV dt. Tambah dengan the akhir sekali adalah dV dH darab dengan dH dt. So semua ni kita dah ada. Apa dia kita punya dVW? dVW kita adalah L darab dengan H. Okay, darab dengan dW dt. dW dt adalah 5 tambah dV dL kita adalah W darab dengan H. Apa kita punya dL dt? dL dt kita adalah 3 tambah dV dH kita adalah W darab dengan L, dH dt kita adalah negatively 5. Okay, so ini adalah kita punya dV dt yang kita nak cari tadi, which is 5LH tambah 3WH tolak 5WL. Okay kelas, L ini length, H itu height, W itu width, semuanya diberi. Length dia bagi 10. So L kita 10. Width dia bagi 12. So width kita 12. And height is equal to 7. So apa yang kita perlu buat? Gantikan sahaja value 5. L kita 10. H kita 7. Tambah 3. W kita 12. Okay, H kita 7. tolak 5W kita 12, L kita 10. So kira-kira awak akan dapat jawapannya bersamaan dengan 2. Apa dia punya simbol? Simbol dia will be centimeter cube kerana dia volume dan ukuran dalam sentimeter per second with respect to time. So this one is the rate of change. But this one dia melibatkan application dan kita menggunakan formula chain rule. Okay, tengok the last example here before we move to the two variables. As a solid right circular cylinder. You kena tahulah formula untuk circular cylinder. Okay. As a solid right circular cylinder is heated, its radius r and height h increase, hence so does its surface area s. Suppose that r is increasing at 0.4 cm per hour. So r is increasing maksudnya rate of change of r. So terus tulis dr dt 0.4 cm per hour. Okay. And h is increasing at 0.3 cm per hour. H adalah dh, dt perubahan h adalah 0.3 cm per hour. How fast is S increasing? Dia tanya tentang surface area S. So apa formula surface area untuk right circular cylinder? Dia punya formula adalah 2 pi r darab h. Okay, tambah dengan 2 pi r square. Okay, sekarang soalan tanya, berapa cepat S ni increase when the radius is 10 cm. So dia bagi R sama dengan 10 and height sama dengan 100. Dia tanya kita ds dt, kadar perubahan surface area kepada masa. So kelas, kalau awak tengok dekat kita punya formula S ni, kita tak boleh dapat ds dt. Kita hanya boleh dapat ds dr dan juga ds dh. Kenapa kita tak boleh dapat ds d pi? Pi itu value, nilai. Dia bukan parameter. Cuma dia dalam bentuk simbol. So kita hanya boleh dapat ds dr dan ds dh sahaja. Tapi dia dah bagi kita dr dt dengan dh dt. Okay, find dulu what is ds dr. So ds dr means that we are differentiate s with respect to r. So yang lain tu akan jadi constant. So differentiate this one with respect to r will give you 2 pi h plus differentiate this one with respect to r will give you 4 pi r. So this one is ds dr. What is your ds dh? Okay, differentiate this one with respect to h. So yang lain akan jadi constant 2 pi r plus this one differentiate kepada h, kosong lah sebab tak ada apa-apa. Tak ada h dekat sini. So ini adalah constant. Differentiate constant adalah kosong. So now we already have our ds dr dengan ds dh. Tapi kita nak cari apa? Kita nak cari ds dt. So guna formula chain rule. Kita ada ds dr. Macam mana nak hilangkan r ni? Kita darab dengan dr dt. Okay, so yang ini dengan yang ini boleh potong. Tinggallah ds dt yang kita nak. Tapi tak boleh satu sebab dia ada dua elemen. So satu lagi kita ada ds dh. Macam mana nak boleh hilangkan h? Darab dengan dh dt. Okay, so sekarang ni ds dr kita dah cari. Ini ds dr kita. 2 pi h tambah 4 pi r. Okay, dr dt dia dah bagi 0.4. Tambah. Okay, ds dh kita 2 pi r. dh dt dia dah bagi 0.3. Okay, so ini adalah ds dt yang kita cari. Tapi belum dapat lagi sebab dia kena substitute nilai r equal to 10, h equal to 100. So substitute je lah. Okay, so dalam ni kita ada 2 pi, h kita 100 tambah dengan 4 pi, r kita 10 darab dengan 0.4 tambah dengan 2 pi, r kita 10 darab dengan 0.3. Okay, so sini awak dapat 200 pi tambah dengan 40 pi, awak dapat 240 pi. 240 darab dengan 0.4, awak akan dapat 0.8. Okay, so boleh kira lah kat sini. Okay, dah masuk-masuk nilai ni, awak boleh kira lah berapa awak punya value. So, akhir sekali awak akan dapat jawapan dia sama dengan 102 pi, okay, centimeter square per hour. So, surface area centimeter square. Kalau volume, dia adalah centimeter cube. Okay, so tengok dekat sini 2 darab dengan 100 dapat 200 pi. 200 pi tambah dengan 40 pi. 200 tambah dengan 40, 240 pi. Okay, so awak akan dapat berapa? Darab dengan 0.4. Lepas tu tambah dengan sini 20 pi darab dengan 0.3. So you will get 102 pi centimeter square per hour. So inilah dia ds dt. The kadar S increasing when radius is 10 and height is 100. So dia menggunakan chain rule for formula.